Here you are, folks. This is Shippy the Explorer, coming back to you with another tape of, not tape, but video to commemorate the African American month of February. And this week it's the third week, and in our organization, we are saying that it's we're taking on the topic of liberation, and we're saying that the third 100 years from 1618 until now, this so the third 100 years runs between 1818 and 1918. The final liberation. That's the topic. So liberation, we talk about education, and we are talking about the other topics. But liberation did not come easily in those times, and what the urge to rebel, to fight and escape was always there, in this experience. Liberation was on the minds of the former slaves. Some key events led up to the 1865 Emancipation Proclamation. The Louisiana Purchase from Napoleon in 1803 opened up the vast western lands. And I'm reading from my notes. I'm not reading from other people's thing. The American declared war on Britain, 1812. The 1812 war started just down the road in Maryland here, at the crossroads across the Indian Creek on the Castor River. And because Britain was still trying to get a hold of the colonies of the 13 colonies. So they came up the Chesapeake Bay, and then they cut across right at the Anacostia River, and there the war started. But they still managed to fight the militia and went down into the White House and burnt the White House. Other occurrence that happened, Frederick Douglass expressed the urge to escape, and I have to read from Frederick Douglass's book, The Life and Times of Frederick Douglass. The man from slavery to orator to writer, a self-made man. And what he says from page 160, he says, I was not through the first month of my second year with the kind and gentleman Mr. Freeman before I was earnestly considering and devising plans for gaining that freedom which, when I was but a mere child, I had uncertained to be the natural and inborn right of every member of the human family. Desire for this freedom had been benumbed while I was under the brutalizing dominion of Convey, his owner, and it had been postponed and rendered inoperative by my truly pleasant Sunday school engagements with my friends during the year at Mr. Freeman's. It had, however, never entirely subdivided. I hated slavery always, and my desire for freedom needed only a favorable freeze to fan it to a blaze at any moment. The thought of being only a creature and the present and the past troubled me, and I longed to have a future with hope in it. To be shut up entirely to the past and present is to the soul, whose life and happiness is unceasing process, what the prison is to the body, a blight and a mildew, a hell of horrors. The dawning of this another year awakened me from the temporary slumber and rose into my life the latent but long cherished aspirations for freedom. I became not only ashamed to be contented in slavery, but ashamed to seem to be contented and in my present favorable condition under the mild rule of Mr. Freedman. I'm not sure that some kind of render will not condemn me for being over ambitious and greatly wanted in humility when I saw the truth that I know drove from me all thoughts of making the best of my lot, and welcome only such thoughts as led me away from the house of bondage. The intensity of my desire to be free, quickened by my present favorable circumstances, brought me to the determination to act as well as to think and speak. Accordingly, at the beginning of this year, 1836, I took upon myself a solemn vow that the year which had now just dawned upon me should not close without witnessing an earnest attempt on my part to gain my liberty. That was Frederick Douglass. So, what continued after that? The Louisiana Purchase from Napoleon in 1803 opened up the vast western lands. The Americans declared, I said, war in 1812. Examples of declaring escape of another escape we had was the William and Helen Cruft from Georgia to Canada and then on to England in 1848. Helen pretended to be a man with William, her wife, as the slave. And Helen was almost white, quarter black. So she passed, and they made their way into freedom. Then, in December the 29th, 1845, Texas became the 28th state, and the fight between different sets began. One set wanted slavery, the other did not. Then John Brown attacked Upper's Ferry in October of 1859. By December, he was hung at Charleston, Virginia. His attempt to free the slaves and liberate the incarcerated and in bondage people did not work. But it triggered in the minds of the present government members that slavery was not right. And so, by 1861, the Civil War had begun between the North and South over slavery. The first shots took place at Fort Sumter in South Carolina. And by 1865, the war ended with Robert E. Lee surrendered to Ulysses S. Grant. The slaves in the Confederate South freed in January the 1st, 1863, while it took until 1770 to 1800s before the northern slaves were free. Ironically, it took 2 more years of the slaves in Galveston, Texas, to learn that they were really free. And henceforth, we have the celebration of Juneteenth to this day. The Emancipation Proclamation did not end the struggle. It took the 13th Amendment to abolish slavery in 1865. The 14th Amendment to declare that the former slaves were now human beings, because they were regarded as first as three-quarter human being. The 15th Amendment in 1869 granted the right to vote, and the struggle continued. Liberation did not come easily. The fight through the amendment, the ratification of the amendments, Reconstruction, the Ku Klux Klan movement, voting barriers, Jim Crow movement, race riots from 1876. Some examples are at Umber, South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, Gainesville, South Carolina, and hundreds more. Lynching took place. Hundreds of lynching took place. The vagrancy law, after the slaves were freed and they walked off the plantation because they did not want to stay, the 40 acres and the mule and whatever that were granted to them were taken back. All that was taken back. And some of them, they did not want to stay on the plantation. They started to leave, walk. They took their bundle and their wife and kid, and they started to move north. And so the vagrancy law kicked in, where people shot at them and shoot at them and kept them back from moving north, moving west. And some were killed, but some were picked up and just locked away again on these chain gang, slave-minded prisons where they were worked for some of them till the rest of their lives. Some died in that condition. And we're back to the lynching and said all those killings and denial of human rights did not stop the former slaves to progress, though slowly. Coming to the early years of the 20th century, they are liberated even when many drawbacks still exist. Gerrymandering, lack of education, refusal to be employed, the fear of the physical look. So still, it seems that liberation, progress, will never end, but surely incrementally improve. And so, the commemoration of this 100 years has taken us to the point where we are aware that African American experience in this great land, I say great because it is great, it's only the greatness is being denied a lot of people, being denied left and right. But incrementally, as we stand in front of the flag, we know that the potential of the United States of America is great. It's wonderful. Some of it we should put our trust into the system. But when you pray sometimes, pray like the old guys. You open one eye and look and make sure that others are praying, or you look to see the movement around you. The prayer is going up to the heavens, to the Almighty God, but the eye keep a watch of the activities around you. And the eye represents the mind and the brain and the spirit. Sing, pray, but watch and educate yourself to the thought that liberation is on the move. We continue with the final 100 years of the experience of African American in this country and in this region of the world. Stay tuned as Shippy the Explorer brings you the history, whether it's concise, but you have a lot of reading to do. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing. Don't be afraid of the history. Broaden your mind. Liberate yourselves. Talk to you. Be good to yourself and others. Until then, Shippy the Explorer saying bye for now. And I play the bells. Bye.